Hello and hello and welcome back to another video. And in today's video, we are going to be looking at some more Final Fantasy music. I did the Answers song last video. We reacted to that and analysed it, and I really enjoyed that video, and it did pretty well. So I figured, why not do some more stuff? And fortunately, Final Fantasy XIV has an enormous library of music that we can look into, so that is what we're going to do now. And we're going to be looking at, specifically, Final Fantasy XIV Beyond the Shadow to the Edge music video, the Primals. So the Primals are the band that are formed of the developers of the game, which is just mad. Like, that's even a thing. Insane how cool these people are, who make Final Fantasy XIV. But anyway, so we're gonna have a look at this, and I don't think I've seen this before. I've heard the song in the game before, but I've not seen this before. So it'll be interesting to see what we look at and what we come out with. But anyway, before we get into starting the video, obviously, please do like this video and subscribe if you do enjoy it, and you enjoy watching stuff like this, where we're going to look at like a lot more MMO stuff. And if you've got any recommendations for songs, videos, anything that you want us to have a look at on this channel, put them in the comments below, because I will do them if you ask. I've done it before, and I'll do it again. So if you want to see anything, put them in the comments, and we'll have a look at that at some point. But for now, let's get into the reaction. I'm not sure, again, how much I'm going to stop this, or if I'm going to let it play and we're going to go back. All right, okay, finally. So, Final Fantasy XIV Beyond the Shadow to the Edge music video, the Primals, in 3, 2, 1, go. So badass. Sorry, I'm going to pause it already. I just have to. Big fans. I think this is to be big fans of Fender, but this guitar here, if you don't know what it is, it's the Final Fantasy XIV limited signature or something Strat, and it's just a beautiful guitar. I thought about getting it, but it's just too much. But look at that. How cool would that be? But yeah, absolutely beautiful guitar, and it's interesting to see how the other guitarist was also using a Fender as well. Jaguar, I think. Lovely, massive tone, though, from these guitars. Alright, before it goes into it, because I know it's about to. Oh, I just want to say one thing. When you're listening to a song much like this one, and you'll find it very easy, like I was, to bob along to it, you have to give credit to the rhythm section. Obviously, I just spoke about the guitarists, but the drummer and the bassist are extremely tight. Them as a band are extremely tight, and that's why it's so easy. And that's why it's so easy to bob along, or, I don't know, dance along, I suppose, would be the better word, to the music, because of how tight this band is, and how talented they are as musicians. there's so much to talk about. I do want to go back quickly and have a look at something before here. Yeah, the tone and his settings. How do I word this? That he's using. It's clearly got a phaser pedal on, which is kind of what gives it the kind of. If you don't know what that is, it gives it that kind of warped kind of. How do you describe what a phaser sounds like? All right, this is going to be a really odd example. But have you ever play something out of your phone, put it to your mouth, and do this? Fantastic. That is kind of what the effect of phaser gives. Kind of like that warped in and out kind of sound, kind of like it's going through like a wind tunnel or something. That's kind of the tones that he's using. And it's clear, and I mean he's just playing octaves. It looks like he's just playing the octaves. So obviously that's only a couple notes, so that when you're like using a phaser pedal can make guitar sound quite muddy if you're doing a shitload of notes. But obviously because he's just playing the octaves, he's only playing 2. So I mean they're the same note, but anyway, so that's why that tone really works well. I think that's what I'm trying to say. And it contrasts to what the guy's doing with the Fender Jaguar, the other guy, you can't see where I'm pointing on the other side, because his tone obviously is not clean, but it's because it hasn't got any of that extra effects on it. Its brightness cuts through what the other guitarist is doing. Hopefully, I can edit this into something that actually is cohesive. Because it's cleaner, you can hear it on the top. It's kind of like what he's playing now on the top. No, it's all right. We'll carry on. And I think also, look, you got to shout out to the live sound mixers as well, because it's you can hear every instrument. And look, you've all seen or heard or been to a gig where you cannot hear the bass, or you cannot hear a guitar, or everything's a bit off. Like, even like I used to work. I don't know if I should say where. I used to work at a very big music venue in London, and when I worked there, and essentially I worked backstage. Obviously, there were lots of gigs going in and out, and there were lots of big shows going in and out, and you appreciate how important sound mixers are, because there were some gigs, and these are professional people. This was a big venue, like this is an internationally renowned venue, so there were a lot. Big bands going there, and there were some gigs that you would hear. Obviously, we were working around or about, but we would still hear the gigs, and they sounded crap. And then there were other gigs in the same venue, same acoustics, same everything, that sounded incredible. And it just shows how important it is. That the mix is brilliant, from what I can tell through the headphones that I'm listening through to this through, is that everything, you can hear the bass clearly, everything is very equal, nothing is drowning out the other, it's all very well done, and that's what really helps the sound, because it feels like to me that the sound is kind of flowing and building up, where you've got, flowing and flowing and building and building and building and building, and obviously I assume it'll probably lead to something at some point, but we'll see. I just want to go back and take a look at that. Sorry. All right, okay, I've got what I was looking for. So, I'm going to talk more about the guitars. To be honest, I don't play drums. I mean, I suppose I could possibly play bass, but I'm not a bassist. Now it's interesting to see, as I said earlier, like we've got obviously with the Final Fantasy XIV guitar, we've got a much heavier overdriven tone, and we have a much more classic rock tone coming from the Fender. That is a Jaguar, right? It's not a Jazzmaster, is it? I think it is. I'm just gonna say it's a Jaguar. If I'm wrong, sorry, put it in the comments. Where you've got the more overdriven heavy metal, you're getting kind of the very more stereotypical kind of Japanese kind of metal that you'd hear from, you know, well, you'd hear from Final Fantasy XIV, you hear from Dynasty Warriors, you'd hear from Yakuza, games like that, and then you've got the more classic rock tone coming from the white guitar. Now, making the correct musical choice over who does what is very important in a band, and the more overdriven tone is playing the lower octave, whereas the white guitar is playing the higher octave, because the lower tone, as I said earlier, has the phaser on it, has the more metal sound, and whereas the white guitar has the comparatively more cleaner sound and is playing the higher octave. Also, to make sure that the other guitar isn't getting drowned out by the heavier guitar, the black guitar, the guitarist in the middle of the stage is palm muting, which is basically where it's hard to explain, where you rest you have the strings of the guitar, and you've got your fretboard up here, and then you rest your hand lightly on the guitar over where the pickups are, to give it that muted sound, basically, which you hear a lot in, I don't know, when songs are kind of building up to, like in a lot of bridges, you'll in like alternate rock, metal, and things like that, you'll have a lot of palm muting, because that means that both of the guitars can play. The higher guitar, who's not palm muting, can the cleaner guitar that's not palm muting, playing up the octave, cuts through nicely, and the lower guitar with a lot more effects, lower is not the right phrase, the heavier guitar with a lot more effects can lie underneath, build the rhythm whilst not overtaking, and having to change the tone of the guitar in the middle of the song, if you know what I mean. Anyway. Right, I'll stop it before it goes into the next little bit. I wanted to let that play a bit because I've paused it so much, and this is a 6-minute song I've been recording for nearly 20 minutes. So there's so much to talk about, but I'd love to know who the vocalist was for this. Obviously, they're not performing live, which is kind of actually makes this more impressive. The fact that they're having to play to like a track, I guess, of the vocalist, or that's hard, man. That's really, really hard to do. Like, it would be much easier if they just had the singer there. But what I will say is, whoever that person is, incredible voice, very, very huge range, and it's a studio recording, so it'd be a lot more interesting to see how they would perform live. But yeah, I mean, just a fantastic like alternate rock / metal performance from the standard of, you know, reaching the high notes effortlessly, giving enough grit and adding enough drama to the song that's already there. It does a fantastic job to it. Don't you just love it when you can hear the bass in a song? Like, there's so many bands and so much music does not utilize the bass enough. It's such a cool and it's such a good instrument. Like, and if you don't appreciate what a bass does, go and watch a band live and you will feel why it's such an important instrument for a band, for a rock band in particular. And the difference is, you can tell a good band from a bad band because a good band utilizes the bassist and the rhythm section. That's how you can tell a good band from a bad band. So good. So good. Oh, it just shows like how important it is to figure out what sort of tone you're looking for with the instruments that you're playing. Because the solo that you played wasn't mind-blowingly hard. From what I could tell, it was mainly just sort of pentatonic scale, which, you know, being able to master that scale is very hard, don't get me wrong. But adding the dynamics to the solo, let's listen to it again. That's not the whole solo, is it? Let's go back a bit. So yes, look, obviously he's not tapping on it like he's Eddie Van Halen. He's not doing sweep picking and doing crazy things, but he didn't need to. First of all, because he probably didn't have enough time, and second of all, because like the solo sounded really great anyway. Why did it sound really great? Because of how many different dynamics he brought to it as a guitarist. It wasn't just notes. It was bends. It was pinch harmonics. It was slides. Which creates a solo. Adding in those creative techniques is what, you know, separates a good solo from a bad one, at least in my view. that was so good, man. That's so good. They're really talented, aren't they? They're just mad. One thing I want to look at very quickly before we finish. Whereabouts is it? Yeah. It makes sense that this is the most replayed. That drop is utter filth. It's filth. Let's listen to it one more time. The effect, the vocal effect, straight into the guitars is just. It's just. I love it. I love it. We're gonna listen to it one more time, and then we're gonna finish the video. I love how it blends straight into the vocal line as well. That's just a fantastic transition, and then obviously it just outros out. This for a 6-minute song, I have managed to record for nearly half an hour. So, let's wrap this up. Like, look, I mean, we all knew the Primals. I mean, if you haven't heard of the Primals, they're developers from the Operative Business Unit 3 / Square Enix, who make Final Fantasy XIV, who also are incredible musicians, as you can see. What a song. I mean, there's so much to look at and so much to dig in with Final Fantasy XIV, with the music. And, I mean, I don't want to just look at Final Fantasy XIV. It'd be great to look at anything. So if you've got any suggestions for anything to look at, from games, we'll keep it from games, but music from games, please do let me know in the comments. What a song. What performance. True professionals. And this isn't their only job. Isn't that crazy? They're pro standard, but no. But anyway, let's end the video there. It's long enough. So thank you all so much for watching. Please do like the video if you enjoyed it. Please do subscribe as well. If you got any thoughts about this song or anything that you like or you don't like about the song, please put it in the comments below. I'd find that really interesting. And as I said a few times, any recommendations, put those in the comments too. But otherwise, I'll thank you all so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.